Hi viewers, I want to say thank you for watching all our video tutorials here on photography and videography and also for subscribing. But I would like to plead for your support a little bit further. Did you know that I have these YouTube exclusive members here? Head on to the description below this video and click on the link which will link you to my YouTube exclusive members. I hope you support me so that I can continuously make good YouTube videos here. And coming to my YouTube exclusive member section soon, a dedicated video on the fastest way that you can make money from photography. And I was thinking that we should share a little bit on how to shoot stock photos, because stock photos is one of the fastest way that you can get money from photography. So a quick search on popular stock sites like 123rf.com, dreamstime.com, and many more, we found out that this and this are the trending searches by people that go into stock sites to look for photos to buy. So viewers, Emma and I will be shooting these two topics, stock photo quality, so join us and learn. Now it's important that you understand that when you shoot stock photos, you need to be slightly different. Don't go around shooting stock photos that look like stock photos that are already in the stock photos. Do you know what I mean? So if you look at all the stock photos on mask, they almost look kind of the same, people with masks. There's one thing that I realized which is not in the stock photo sites. Because as the world goes into a longer pandemic period, people are double masking. That means they wear two masks. So maybe we can get Emma to wear two masks and have our stock photos looking different than those that you see on those websites. So the first thing I normally do when I want to shoot a photo is that I worry about the background. What kind of background would I have? This is shooting for stock, which means that I want to make my background, I either go with green screen so that they can remove it, or I can go with white, which is more neutral, because the background tells a location. If my location is boring, people may not buy my photo. So Yi Chong, picking your brain here, what would you do? Should I shoot with green screen or should I go with a Hexa F background, which is completely white? Probably white. Probably white. Let's go with the white. To get white background, of course, I need one flash. I'm using a 250 watt per second studio light here. You don't need this. If you have a hot shoe flash, it should be sufficient. So my logic is this. I want to have the subject on the left-hand side of the frame, double masking, which means that this side of the frame should have a light. So I'm going to point this here and turn on the flash, put on my radio trigger. How much of power to use? I wouldn't know, but my guess is I'm going to be shooting at f8. Why do I do this? Because if I were to shoot a stock photo, I do not want to have my f number too low or too high. f8 be there is the safest bet. So with that, I'm going to be shooting at a power of maybe 3.5 out of 5 on a 200 watt per second studio light. So you notice that every time I bring the power up, nothing happens. But if I bring the power down, the flash would vent itself. This is called auto-venting. Because what's in this flash are condensers. Condensers will suck up all the power when you go up. But when I go down, the condenser needs to release the additional power. So wait for this to happen. So 3.5, and I always make it a habit to vent it so that it's more accurate. So this is good. So after setting this, my next worry is, how do I know that the wall is white? Let's find out. So with the flash on the left-hand side of the photo pointed to the wall there at the power of 3.5 at a 250 watt per second light, and I decided to use f8. We are on f8 now. There are two things that I need to worry about, which is the ISO. I'm going my favorite 200. You can try 100 if you want to, no harm. And I'm going to use a shutter speed of 1/100. These are my favorite numbers when I try to shoot stock photos. f8, 1/100 of a shutter speed, ISO over 100. And I'm going to hold up the camera and focus on the wall. And let's take a shot and see how white the wall is. This is what I get. But this can be deceiving. Look at the histogram. I'm not completely white. If I am, you only see one line on the extreme right of the histogram. I'm seeing this, which means that I am not getting an even coverage here. However, I'm not going to worry now. It's not an exact pure white Do we want to get pure white, Yi Chong? Should we?
If it's the corner, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, my point is that she's going to be here and this side is not that white, so it doesn't matter. You know what? I'm just going to shift over here a little bit and show you that if I'm shooting closer to the lamp, it will improve on the coverage. So if you look at both these two photos, you can see there's a little bit of a shift. So she's going to be here, so I'm not going to worry about here because later I'm going to put a flash here, which will be her main light, and that will spill a bit of light to the background. Let's see how that goes now. Let's add an Emma in here with a double mask. Oh, for those who really want to get pure white and perfect white background, you can watch this episode that we broadcasted on YouTube not too long ago. That will give you perfect pure white. But for now, I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Life is not about always getting perfect white wall. So this is what Emma is going to be doing. The action of double masking. She already have one mask and she's going to be wearing another mask. Now, time to teach you about the second light. I have a square softbox here. It doesn't really matter what is the modifier at this point, but I'm using a 500 watt per second quantum photo light, studio light. It doesn't matter what flash you do. So what power should I set on this? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it the same as the one at the back to begin with, 3.5. Move this back a little bit. So this is going to be shining light directly this way. And you notice that I'm using this rule of half of the softbox. Because if you look at my softbox, imagine that you divide it into half. Half will go to the model and the other half would go to the back. So that it spills a little bit more light to the background there. So with the value still the same on my camera, f8, 200 on my ISO, 100 on my shutter speed. You must be thinking, why is my shutter speed 1 over 100? Remember this number, 1 over 200 is where you break sync. When you break sync, the camera's shutter speed is going to outsync all of this flash. So studio photographers will always keep their shutter speed below 1 over 200 of a second. And with that, I'm going to focus on Emma. I get this question asked all the time on YouTube. My meter shows negative. Should I meter this to 0? This is your exposure meter on your camera. It's going to see negative now because my F number is high, my ISO is low, my shutter speed is decently high as well, so it's going to register negative 3 in fact. Ignore this. When the flash goes off, it's going to be correctly exposed. How would I know? I wouldn't know until I take the first shot and then we look at the histogram and the exposure. Are you ready? And 1, 2, go. So this is the shot that I get. So I noticed that it looks a little bit overexposed now. Let's check the histogram. Histogram looks fine in terms of distribution of all the pixels from left to right, but don't be fooled. You notice that you get a lot of pics moving to the right hand side. So two things that are not so nice about this photo. If you're going to shoot photo and have them uploaded on stock sites, you need to be really spot on with your exposure because they're going to have experts sitting there evaluating your photo. And in fact, if they reject you, one of the best things is they will tell you what is not nice about this photo. So submitting your photos to stock sites are one of the best ways that you can learn. Your post is perfect. Maybe we're going to change a little bit. So the 3 mistakes that I see here, there's this shadow on the chest area because that light is spilling. So we're going to turn the light a little bit. This is a little bit too bright because we see highlight at the temple of Emma here. So we're going to move that light back a little bit or point it this way a little bit. So I'm going to fix that first. So the trick to this is to come to this light and point it this way and move it this way. Or you can block this with a small cut or flag if you want to. I'm not going to do that yet. This is what I'm going to do. Just move it there a little bit, move it here a little bit and point it away from Emma. And this one, I'm going to move it back a little bit and point it a little bit away from Emma now. So I want you to turn back to me a little bit. I'm going to go angle, no, look here. Right. So if you can pull your mask down a little bit and shape it more here, Emma. Right. Okay. I want your eyes still to be smiling. Turning back to me. Right. Don't look at me. All right. And 1, 2, go. Still too bright. At least the shadow is a little bit tamer now. So one of the fastest way I can overcome this is to just drop my ISO to ISO 100 because I'm not going to go back to this light. Instead of looking down at the mask, I want to see a little bit more eye this time. We can't see your eye. So that's it. Look here. Right, okay. And 1, 2, go. So much better now. I noticed that the photo looks a little bit bluish now. One of the best ways to overcome this blue tone when you have a subject in there is to go to your Kelvin and bring up the K value. I'm going to shoot with 5560 on the K value. It was 5000. I'm going to move this light here a little bit. Right, look at the camera and turn your face back to me. Turn your face back to me. No, your whole shoulder. Right, too much. Okay, and look at the camera. 1, 2, go. Wait a minute. The shadow on Emma's chest is still ever persistent no matter how I move the light and turn the light. Hey, when you're shooting stock photo, it's not shooting for yourself. There's no way you can cheat those people in the stock agency sitting there evaluating your photos. So you have to fix this problem. The last thing you want is your photos all get rejected because of this ugly shadow here, which means that you did not manage your light correctly. To do this, the only one solution that I have is to fix a bowl. This is a bowl that you can fix to your studio lights. This will block light coming to Emma. So I'm going to come to this flash now and use this stick here, and that's it. This is what it does. So I'm going to show you what you get with the bowl there. Chin down a little bit. 1, 2, go. So it's important when you're shooting for stock photo submission, make sure that you vary the angle, the composition, the cropping, and the orientation of your camera as well. Get your model to change poses because you're not just going to submit one photos. If you really look at experienced, seasoned stock photographers, they submit a series of their photos. That will actually make a more distributed income. You must be thinking that you always need to use a lot of flash for stock photo submission. Far from true. Actually having your composition that tells story, like this one here, I'm using a silhouette to make Emma look completely dark, so it preserves that anonymity, and that's important because that allows buyer to be able to use this photo without worry about model release and all that. So it actually gives the perception that it's a gloomy, stuck at home with the COVID pandemic. So that's another way of showing the mask and interpretation of having the mask in the stock photos looking different. Now I'm going to do another one without any additional light source, just natural lighting and just playing with depth of field. So I'm going to go in front of Emma. As I mentioned, it's important not to just take that one shot. Okay, so nearer there. I'm going to drop my f value to 2.8, bring up my ISO. So the shot that I did earlier, it was f5.6, the ISO is 100, and the shutter speed is really high. That gives the silhouette. So I'm going to take a shot. Can you go nearer? Rotate your body a little bit. That's good. I want you to look a little bit set. Step forward a little bit. Right. So I'm changing my metering mode to spot meter now. So with spot meter, I'll be able to meter on Emma's forehead more accurately with my focus point. Get this to slightly above 0. And focus on Emma. I like that sad look, that I'm stuck at home. 1, 2, go. That's how it looks like with a shoot that's just plain natural lighting. Nope. Looking at the photos, I can tell you that natural lighting is just not cutting it. The dynamic range is just not sufficient. And I know that if you submit these photos to any stock site, you're going to get rejected. Because one of the most important things that any stock sites look at and evaluate is your exposure. And this is just too plain natural lighting. It's not enough separation between the highlight, the mid-tone, and the shadow enough to be qualified in any of it. So I'm going to fire one flash. So you can use natural lighting, but then if it's not giving you that dynamic range, you can use that one flash first before you go into adding all that flashes. So Emma, perhaps you can sit down here and try to look like you're stuck at home, really sad. Because if I were to submit this photo to the stock site, I want it to look like people with the keywords is like sad, depressed, work from home, another 2 more years with the COVID, you know, so you're like, right, that's good. Have your phone nearer to your face if you can. So now I'm having the camera at an ISO of 200. I'm going to use f2.8. I'm going to meter my camera to be here, just 1 or 2 dots below 0. This is called 1/3 of a stop below 0 or 2/3 of a stop below 0. Now the logic is that when you fire a flash, I'm going to be using TTL, and that's going to light up the portion of the room here. This part of Emma's face is bright enough from the sunlight from the window, that's good. But there is no light coming from here, so I'm going to feel the flash here. Right, this is good. Rotate your face that way a little bit. Right, I'm going to point the flash there, and that's really sad looking. I like that. Oh, this is good. Let's do one more. I'm a little bit too rotated. Chin down a little bit, Emma. That's good. 1, 2, go. And that's what happens. Maybe your phone lower a little bit. One of the things that you want to avoid when you shoot stock photos is to have any brand on your subjects, accessories, or props. In this case, we do not want it to look like an iPhone. Too much like one. This is really good. So I'm just going to show you what is the difference when I don't have a flash. I'm going to meter to this to 0 with natural lighting. f2.8, ISO 200, focus, and take a shot. This is natural lighting, and this is the one with the flash. As you can see, there's just not enough of dynamic range in that photo to be qualified to be submitted to a stock site. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Emma, wow, she looks great without mask, isn't it? But if you're a photographer, this is an important workflow that I can share with you. You cannot have everybody wearing masks or not wearing masks sometimes when you're shooting. It's difficult. So here's the rule we use. If I'm wearing her mask, at least she can take off her mask. And that's it. I hope you understand that stock photo is not that difficult. If you do it correctly, it's not tough at all. If you're new to this, instead of going to all these big stock sites and start submitting your photos and get rejected, you can head on to some free ones and get accustomed to see what they say about your photos. You can head on to Unsplash, Pixabay, Pexels. These are free. At least you know where your standards are before you go to the big boys here. So that's it. If you want to learn more, in fact, we have a whole new episode just for Premium Courses subscriber. So if you head on to Premium Courses, we have a dedicated episode just to teach you how we can shoot stock photo quality of the keyword sanitizer here with model Emma. And speaking of premium courses, we're having a promo now to celebrate our country's 64th Independence Day. So hurry, before the promo is over, you get a 50% discount on these 3 e-learning courses here. But what's even better, check out our All Access account. All Access account, instead of this usual price, you get it the whole year for just 64 US dollars. Emma, tell everybody why it's 64 US dollars.
Because it's our country's birthday.
64th birthday. So it's just 64 US dollars for the whole year. If you subscribe now and stay subscribed, that's the price you pay instead of this. And you get full access to all these e-learnings that you see here. And not only that, you get to access the premium courses as well. That's what the All Access account is. So hurry, head on to our website here. I hope you show some support and love so that we can continue making YouTube videos like this on YouTube. So Emma.
Thank you for having me, and don't forget to go to our website and subscribe.
Bye. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Shot so many photos today. You're not tired, Emma?
Can I go home now?
She's only worried about going home. Can she go home now? Is she tired? Well, I think we have 7 more shots to do. Now you can go home. Go.
Finally.
Head on to the comment section or description section of this. Head on to the description section. Head on to the description below.